Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Witches and Wine. This is the show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. Clink and drink.
Disclaimer, as implied by the name of the show. I was doing it for us.
Well, I'm not even going to get to that part yet. And I'm your hostess, Lola Stardust.
We're fine.
We're sober. We're too sober. But we do have a disclaimer.
Hi, Cole. That's our son.
Yep.
Our disclaimer is this is a show where we talk about witchy stuff and we drink wine. Hence the name Witches and Wine.
Shall I do it?
So if you have an issue with that for any reason, before we continue on the episode, please just click on the X in the top right corner or the top left corner. Or,
well, when you watch it, wherever the X is.
Wherever the X is, just go ahead and close it because we mean not to offend you, but we try to be pretty honest about what the show's about. So
see, you're too kind. I do it very sarcastically, but we'll be kind today. Yeah. So
we're talking about parenting. So
this is true. We are kind parents. Anyway,
right, son.
So yes, our son is watching. We're very good parents and very sweet and kind, aren't we, honey? Or you'll get no dinner ever. So before we start, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to my partner in crime, my craft partner, my husband, and our wine connoisseur, Silent as Stardust. Take it away. Tell us about our wine.
I will. Where'd you put your glass?
Mine's right here. I was looking for the bottle.
Oh, it's right here. Tonight we went back to a New Zealand Sauv Blanc. This is from Fernway, out of the Marlborough region. So your classic New Zealand Sauv Blanc, nice and crisp, gooseberry, grapefruit notes, a touch of mango on the finish, very light-bodied, a nice crisp summer wine. We're drinking it in the winter because that's how we roll. We just opened this tonight. Gonna run you $10 to $15. Nice everyday drinker. Nothing too special about it. Just really, really crisp and dry. So we're gonna go ahead and let the wine bottle go.
And I noticed that was a screw top.
Yes. So screw tops are.
Can I tell you for what I think of screw tops?
Yes.
I think cheap wine, but I've noticed more better wines are coming out. And why is that?
Cork plants and cork trees are being killed too young, so they're not able to recover from having corks pulled from their trunks.
Oh, so it's environmental.
It's environmentally friendly.
Aww.
And so what some companies are doing for wines that don't need to be cellared are going to screw tops or synthetic tops. Saves the environment. Like countries like Australia, you can't use cork at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they have become to the forefront of it. So don't necessarily downgrade a wine because it's a screw top. It just means it's not designed to age for 10 to 15 years because it can't do the air transference to the cork. But if it's an everyday drinker, absolutely. Some of the best wines for everyday drinking come in screw tops.
Yeah.
There's one of the top Napa winemakers. His wines go for between $400 and $500 a bottle. He has screw tops in every one of his bottles. So it's not a price value concept. It's just them being more environmentally friendly.
Well, I like that.
Yep.
Well, let's clink and drink to the environment and wine. All right. So before we start the topic that we're going to talk about tonight, we last week, if you watched us, or if you watched the recording, we had these self-care cards that one of our coven sisters, Iseline, had brought, and we all drew a card, and we were supposed to do that self-care thing from last Saturday, all day last Saturday, to tonight, which is Saturday. So only two of us are here. The rest of our coven, I was hoping they would tune in and we could talk, but they've got stuff going on. So we're going to talk about our self-care. Mine was hydrate. And, I know a lot of people don't believe that, but I hydrate every day with a lot of water, a lot of these. I drink a lot of these. They're flavored waters, but they have zero sugar. There's nothing in them. Like, it's not coloring or sweetener. It is all
no dyes.
No dyes. No, it's zero everything if you look. Yeah, I've always checked that just to make sure that I'm not getting sodium or, anything like that. So it's the way I like to drink water. I drink plain water too, yep. But if you want me to hydrate and really drink a lot of water. This is the way I go. I love them, and I've been drinking them forever. So hydrate wasn't really a problem because I've been really working on my hydration. I did get really bad headache for a couple days in a row, and I thought, well, I'm hydrating, and it was like a couple days after we did this, and I'm thinking, oh, that's weird. Like usually when I have a headache, it means I'm not hydrating enough. So I even hydrated more. Like I that's all I drank all day long for days and days and days was just water, 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 water. The headache turned out to be either a caffeine withdrawal because I drink not every day, but every few days I do get a caffeine kick from a 32-ounce Lotus. I don't use Red Bull because Red Bull is awful. Lotus is more natural, but I'm not saying drink it every day. I don't, but almost every other day or so I drink that 32-ounce caffeine, and then I might have a coffee later on. Caffeine, I like it a lot. It affects me very differently, so I might have been going through a caffeine withdrawal. I don't know. It could also be because of blood pressure. I've been having some problems with my blood pressure, but my self-care, I did do my hydration. I really was hoping the rest of the coven would be here because we had our coven brother, Donar. His was to connect with the womb. Obviously, the pile of cards, self-care cards, were made for women. But he happened to,
mind you, that Donner and Islene have 5 kids. So
they have 5 kids. So he was in contact he's familiar with wombs. So anyways, that was, I followed up on my self-care. I'm really trying to take better care of myself, trying to eat better, trying to get my health back on track, lose some weight. So I'm going to continue my self-care as we talked about last week. It is so important, and there's so many of us that don't do it, but there's a lot that do it a lot. Mm-hmm. I want to be like those who set aside time every day for self-care. What was your self-care card that you drew?
My self-care card was daily affirmations, and I wasn't real good about them this week. I haven't done them until the last couple days. Mm-hmm. And I've improved, but in the process, I got sick and was home. So thinking if I wasn't doing my affirmations, I was allowing myself to be brought down.
Yeah.
Physically. Yesterday I started doing my affirmations. Today I did them again, and I'm feeling much better. I'm still on the mend, but I'm still not 100% there, but way better than I was yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And with, another nice thing is Lola and I have been good. This is our first time having any alcohol in almost since pretty much last episode.
Yeah, we haven't drank all week. Yep. That's a big deal for us.
That's a rarity. And
so yeah, this is our first glass of wine in 7 days. And I took my hydration seriously because I know people think clean can drink. I know people who know me. I love my wine. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, of course, Lola's going to hydrate on wine. I'm not.
Nope, she has been good all week. Hasn't drank any wine. We have wine at the house, so it wasn't like it wasn't unavailable.
We have a lot of wine at our house. So
we just weren't in the mood. So she was falling with her self-care. I wish I had done better, but
you know what? You can continue it. This doesn't have to stop now. My hydration is not going to stop. And I think what we'll do is probably draw them every few weeks or a few episodes just to keep ourselves accountable in front of you guys. So we can follow up on it and say, hey, we have to follow up and say what we did. And that means if we didn't do it, we have to be honest. And so it's an accountability thing.
And if you guys are doing any self-care things or suggestions, we would like to hear from that. So go ahead and comment in the comment section.
If there's a self-care that you would like to work on or
are working on.
Yeah. It's very important to keep up with that. I think I am going to continue to hydrate, of course, because that's important. But I'm also going to get moving more. I think the walking should be a couple times a week, and I'll report. That's my self-care for this week is movement, walking. I'm going to walk a couple times a week. You people hold me accountable. You hold me accountable. I will hold myself accountable, and not knock any wine over on Islene's computer like we did last week.
My self-care is going to be eating better. I'm going to eat less sweets this week.
Good idea.
Because, I'm just going to go with the yeah.
I like my sweets, too.
The holiday season has definitely added on.
Oh, Jesus. So anyway, before we start getting all... Hi, Annie. That's our older son's girlfriend.
Yep.
And good episode. We're going to talk about pagan parenting.
Yep.
pagan parenting. There are all kinds of pagans that have kids, all kinds of parenting styles.
Yep.
This by any means is not the only way. We are going to talk about our personal experience with it. And thank you, honey.
Yep.
Our son's going to make art for us. He loves to.
He's an animator.
He's an animator and stuff. Whew.
So we've asked him to animate a beginning to the show if possible.
I'm letting the gray grow out, people. What do you think? It's all silver and curly today. I'm like,
my gray's always here.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so we got 4 viewers. Woo! Hello. So, pagan parenting. I have learned by watching others, to be honest, because we haven't been out and out pagans the whole time our children have been around. We have really come out in the last 6 years.
5, 6 years.
Yeah. So one of the things that we first started talking about with our kids when we were coming out and going into clergy and coven work, and we had a discussion with our kids and said, hey, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is our religion. Wicca is our religion. Wicca is pagan, but pagan is not Wicca.
Yes.
So just to make that clear. And the kids were, they were fine with it. Our 16-year-old at the time was 10. And he's like, okay, cool. And he has his dad that he goes and stays with every other weekend, and his stepmom, and they're very Christian, and they go to church every Sunday, and they would take him, and we were fine with that. And he went until he didn't want to go anymore. And that's one of the big things is you have to let your kids decide their path.
Yep.
I feel it's important that everybody should decide what path they want to be on, what religion or what's.
It should be their religion, not their parents' religion.
And it doesn't have to be religion. You can
faith,
decide
practice, whatever.
Spirituality. You can say, I'm atheist. I don't believe in any of that or whatever.
I'm agnostic. I believe something, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you've got a shiny on your nose.
I'm always shiny.
Oh, it's dry. I'm not going to pick your nose on TV.
Well, thank you.
But anyways, but it's right there and it's bugging me. It's it's dry skin right here. That's really bugging me. I'm sorry.
I had a pimple there.
I'm gonna listen to pagan parenting.
Yep. But with that, we're honest with our kids, and we don't force anything upon them. Our older son doesn't practice. He doesn't care that we do. It doesn't bother him. He'll go to things and get along with everyone. He can care less. Yeah,
we'll take him to public Sabbats and stuff once in a while.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Once in a while, and he's cool with it, but he's also cool. Yeah, and he's met some cool kids and cool other people, and our coven mates are, that he loves them. He trusts them, and with our younger son, our 11-year-old who's doing the art for us, he's our
witch kid.
He's witchy. He's been that way before we even knew we were witchy. Yeah. He's just on another level. He gets it. He's very in tune with it. And when he started having visions and he's been that way since he was very, very young. We just oh, hey, Woods Wizard, I know who you are.
Yep, me too.
When he started having visions and seeing ghosts and that's where you have to decide too, as a parent and us personally raising a little witchy child. You got to look at all aspects, because of course it's so exciting as a witch mom to hear your very small child say, I see ghosts. Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. But then when they say, I'm hearing them talk to me, I'm hearing voices, I'm getting images, of course we're going to go, yes, but you have to say, okay, we also got to check medically. I think it's important.
We have to make sure it's not a mental health issue.
Is there something going on, but then that's where you have to be careful too, because then you've got doctors that will take it and say, well, there must be something wrong, because they won't accept that this is a spiritually connected child. I've heard horror stories about children getting labeled with mental illness because they just are.
No,
most witches. If you were witchy when you were a kid, we saw shit, didn't we? We saw things, we connected, and I'm sure a lot of our parents or relatives were like, they need to get checked. So,
I think you're also if you're going to come to a doctor and asking for this, explain we come from a practice where we believe in stuff like this, but we need to make sure that there is not something.
And they respect you more if you're honest and are like, look, we're not crazy crackheads where we think everything is because your kids could have something going on that needs Western medication, Western medicine.
Yep.
Okay, we respect that and we're honest. We don't come right out and say we're witches to the doctors, but we say we are very spiritual. We're very connected with energy. Our child is very connected with energy. That seems to go over a little better, saying we're witches and our child's a witch, and it makes us still uncomfortable. And unfortunately, that is so. That's too bad.
There should be a negative connotation with being who you are.
No.
If you can say you're of the Jewish faith, people understand. If you're
we're Christian, we believe in this.
Yes.
We're Mormon, we believe in this.
Yes.
But we still, for us,
we're lucky to live in a part of the country where it's more acceptable.
It's more acceptable, but we're still
kind of the oddballs.
We're still the oddballs, and there's still, it's kind of 50-50, when you come out to people in our town in Spokane, Washington, when we come out as witches to people, I either get, oh, or I get cool.
Well, I love to think either cool or what is that? What does that mean? And so
I wish I got what does that mean? I get, oh, or oh.
Well,
yeah.
And I say Wiccan, not pagan, because Wiccan seems to be more approachable for people compared to if they hear pagan.
And see, I'm the other way.
And so
I think because the word pagan, witch has been around for a long time. Saying Wiccan, I don't really say I'm a witch to everyone. I say I'm Wiccan because that sounds better than witch, but it's
the same thing.
Same thing, but I mean, it's not always the same thing. But
we're lucky. Like I said, we're lucky to live in a place where people can be more receptive. Other people may not be in such places.
And I've met people like that and I'm always a little shocked because I'm so out now that when I meet someone where to me it's like what we were talking about the other day, the normal conversation to us. Yeah. When it just comes out of our mouth, but you get people that go, What the? And I'm like, oh, I guess not everybody does that. That's kind of how I react because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Wiccan, and they're like charmed, So, but anyways,
or my favorite. So you go dancing naked in the woods. I'm like, well on the good festivals, on the good rituals we do.
Actually, we do, yeah. We don't have a lot of woods around us, but we've been to people's other woods and private places.
not like that.
Not like that. So, anyways,
we're not those kind of Wiccan.
Not yet, but we So raising I think it's tricky.
Yep.
I think it's you have to be careful raising your children pagan. And again, this is not against their will.
This is
our experiences.
This is our methods of how we raise our kids.
So
we're not telling you how to raise yours.
But our Danielle and Derek would be perfect because all their kids are. I mean, Danielle's been a witch for 100 years, and then when she started having children with 500 kids, and so when she, it's just natural. It was just what happened. We didn't start exposing our kids to this until 6 years ago. Yep. Not because we had anything against it, but there was just a lot of things we didn't even know that we
weren't practicing.
We weren't practicing. I mean, we
didn't know what we were
until 6 years ago.
And I learned much more recently than that. I've learned the last 3-4 years.
Yeah, but I mean, and so that's baby pagan or baby witch compared to like Danielle and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean I know less or she knows more. That's just where we are in our path. And when you look at your path, I wasn't meant to come out until my 40s because when in my 30s and 20s, just there's other stuff going on. But anyway, pagan parenting.
Do that with your kids as well. You can expose them, but don't force their hand.
Don't force them. And so our kids are raised around it. Yeah.
Personal choices. You have to respect their boundaries and their spaces.
And we don't hide it from our kids, obviously. I mean, when Coven night, when our kids are here, they know they go into the bedroom and they do their thing and it's fine. During ritual, and then they come out and they talk to us and hang out. Our witchy child has been present for some of our rituals. Those
are generally public rituals?
No, he's come into our private espits and sat there and watched invocations and stuff. And that's because it felt right. And that's the feeling that we got. And
That ritual was right for him to be.
It was right for him. Actually, the ritual we included him in was about the bullying, right? Because he was getting bullied a lot, and he was having a lot of issues with trying to explain, because he's very much an empath, and most witches are empaths. Being a child witch makes you like a opened nerve ending. I've never met someone that
so receptive.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
But
so
you have to know how to balance that with people who, especially in a kid's environment.
Yeah.
People who have bullying or uncomfortable. Our son is very comfortable with who he is, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable.
That makes people uncomfortable that he's so comfortable with how he looks, how he acts, what he thinks.
Yeah.
And I always tell him, when you're true to yourself, it's a painful journey. It just is, because when you're true to yourself, that means you're being the authentic you, and you're not conforming. And at a young age, you get picked on for that. You get bullied, you get picked on. And we're very honest with him. We're like, this is a choice that is going to be a hard one for you, but in the long run, you are going to be like the most amazing person, and it really is worth it. And we can just give you tools how to deal with being bullied or being, and we have a very, very open dialogue. He is very receptive to our suggestions, and he comes up with his own.
Yep.
So
our other son is much more confident in himself, and was never cared what other people thought of him. Didn't allow that to affect him. He was like, "Yep, this is who I am. Deal with it."
Yeah. So
and so it's a different way, and he isn't nearly as spiritual exposed. I think he has some thoughts on his own of what he believes. Being raised, two different households with two different practicing thoughts, he's a little more exposed than some kids at that age. So he's able to formulate his own. But we've never pushed ours on him. And he brings up religion and spirituality, and we have really good talks, because we are of the mind that we respect every religion. And wait, I don't want to restart it now. No.
Sorry, live. But we've opened up a really good dialogue with our children. We have one that is very, very pagan, and we have one that is not, but he's open-minded.
He's accepting and respectful of us.
Yes, and we are accepting and respectful
of him.
Yep.
And that's how it needs to be. Where we have people in our coven who have children and other family members that come from other or practicing different faiths, and it can be hard, or religions, but it can be hard. But it's always about respecting that person's path. What's right for us doesn't mean it's right for them. What's right for them may not be right for us. Go with it.
And there's some books out there on pagan parenting, and I have not read them, because I'm of the mindset that I'll read something if I'm feeling like I'm having an issue with it. But so far with raising our children, the only time there was any kind of issue was when, at the height of our younger son's ascending to something different, there was problems. Right. I mean, there was breakdowns in classroom because he was hearing things, he was sensing negative energies, and it got too overwhelming. And so that's when
he couldn't focus.
We had to teach him grounding and if he, shielding and pushing away those negative energies. And that was a big thing to do. And of course we had our coven brothers and sisters who helped us, and elders in the community. So we had the resources. I always said I'd still like to get a book, I'm curious. There's a lot of good pagan parenting books out there. As a matter of fact, I know some people who are really wonderful at pagan parenting. Adis
Laveau,
she's ATC. She's got some great.
She's a Spiral Scouts coordinator.
Yeah, she does Spiral Scouts, and she does the children's activities at Spring Mysteries. She's wonderful with kids. Yeah. She raises her children pagan, and she's just a really good resource. I'm gonna have to tag her in this now and say we talked about you. No.
Pick a time. Oh, snooze it.
Snooze.
You got to snooze it. Snooze it.
So it is tricky because we did come into a time where they and our son, 11-year-old, is very, very smart. They did a brain study on him for school because he's got such a different way of thinking. It also might have been a ploy to see other things because they did look to see if he was on the spectrum, and none of that came up. Which, whether it did or didn't, is neither here nor there. It's just, it was just like, if he's on the spectrum, he's this great kid. It doesn't make a difference, But we were told, oh well, this and this came out, and no. On the spectrum things. I sometimes wonder, and I've talked, if he's listening and watching, he knows we're very honest. I've talked about ADD, ADHD. I really don't want to get that diagnosis because
his brain just works differently.
And he's doing fine.
And he processes and understands things that are so far beyond the normal kid's concept, far beyond what many adults can perceive and understand. And so
anyone who's met our kid, and spends time with him and has a conversation, you would be amazed at what comes out of this brain of his. It's the
vocabulary, the depth of understanding and the emotion.
And we're going to brag about him.
Yep.
He's considered he's advanced in all his classes. They were considering skipping a grade for him to advance. There's still that possibility. He's going into junior high in September of this year. I think they want to see what happens with that, but he's very, very, and I'd like to think a lot of that also is
reflective upon us.
Well, pat me on the back. That and click and drink good parenting for the love of.
Give parenting a props.
But what I was going to say is I'd like to think a lot of that is his magic, the way he thinks of things, because he is so open to everything. Little pagan children, little witchy kids. Oh, I'm good, hon. Little witchy kids are just of a different mindset, What's your thoughts on the keys of Solomon and the pentagram being its seal? Oh, well, we're talking about pagan parenting, but if you want to email us questions, we'll have our email address at the end, because that's
a way too deep conversation.
I know. I'm like, we could talk about that, but that's
a whole other episode.
That's a whole other episode, and actually, that's a really good idea. But email us, and we'll give you the email address at the end. I'll even put it in the comments.
crossroadscoven@gmail.com. That's
we usually do this at the end. I'm just going to put it here. crossroadscoven @gmail.com. Gmail. I did it right. All right. So, yes, the pentagram. Yes. So anyway, sorry. So pagan parenting. Yes, we have our kid is just. I'd like to think that all that smart stuff comes from his. Is from the way we've raised him, and we open him up to a lot of magic, to a lot of spiritual things, and bragging. We are bragging about you, honey. So I would love to hear from pagan parents out there. Please put in the comments. Watch if you're not watching it live, but you're watching it recorded. You can still email us, put it in comments, because there's all kinds of ways out there. I know people who raise their children, a lot of pagans, a lot of witches are very free with their bodies. Nudity is not a big deal. We are very much we don't walk around naked in front of our kids, but we don't always walk around fully.
We don't necessarily hide things.
Yeah, we don't walk around fully clothed. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
it says when explaining the pentagram and palmistry be pagan. I mean, if we're teaching our kids that, but we're just talking about raising them we're not talking about divinations that we teach them or anything like that. That would be more of a pagan palmistry. To me is more of a a divination.
Yeah, it's divination skills.
Yeah,
It's palmistry, and it's explaining how the keys of Solomon, the pentagram, all tie together and what they represent.
Yes.
But we're talking more the broad idea of how to raise your kids pagan and how to respect their boundaries.
Yeah, not what to tell them about what you do, because even our pagan kid doesn't know everything that we practice, because there are certain things at a certain level. I love that.
Yes.
Homeschooling like it's Hogwarts. I love that. That's awesome.
If you need a Quidditch player, let me know.
Yeah. Do you guys do Quidditch? That would be awesome. No, this is more of not saying how to explain those things, certain divinations, because there's certain things we were just going to talk about. Nudity.
Yep.
Skyclad rituals. Our child's very aware of that. Our child, we have brought him to festivals where he has seen people running around naked, and he's took it very well.
Yeah. There was no sexual situations or
no,
anything
of course
that,
not. We're not deviants. I mean,
we're not going to expose him to things like that.
No.
The human body, if he sees it, he sees it.
He sees it, and we've raised him the way that we believe is as pagans, and as especially the goddess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your body is beautiful. Our bodies are amazing. I don't want our children to have any hang-ups on sex or their bodies, and so we're very open and talk about those things.
And we ask them to speak to us if they have questions, if they're curious, if something is changing or they're going down a path that they haven't gone yet. We're here to try to be open to them and be respectful, and not be the teasing parent. We might joke them, "Oh, you got a so and so," but in reality, we want them to keep that dialogue open, because it makes it much easier.
Yeah.
To have an open dialogue with your kids than to have them finding out from their friends and getting all the false information.
Well, yeah, and even our views on intimacy and sex are very different. And I know I have read and have known people personally who raise their children very much about, sex feels good and have it when you're ready to have it. I've heard that said before, And as a parent and a pagan, my personal is I still want to make sure that they are old enough and consent and all that. I have okay, cool. Josh, you and I will talk later, because that's interesting. And that's very the swastika is from runes.
Yeah.
That's very
It's the ancient meaning of swastika, not the
white supremacists.
Reclamation by Nazis.
So
Hindu.
So anyway, so there's, you got to do what feels right with your kids. You could read all the books, just like not even just pagan parenting, but just parenting in general. There's all these books out there.
Trial and error.
Yeah, and you could read them and say, "Oh, I'm not doing what the books told me to do. I'm a terrible parent." No. And it's the same with pagan parenting. It's whatever works.
If all kids were able to be controlled by books, we wouldn't have some of the outbursts, some of the issues we have regarding the kids. Each kid is different. They're having a changing of emotions, energies, hormones, and you have to address them one by one. There is no one
size fits all. Yeah.
Each kid has to be handled differently, and respect them for the difference. If you're able to raise this child one way, don't assume it's going to work with one of your other kids.
Yeah.
If it does, awesome, sweet. More than likely, you're going to have to tailor things to accommodate that kid and how to handle them. And
we've been really lucky because, like I said, and we've got kind of the best of both worlds. But, I mean, we've got a teenager who is still searching. He's still searching, but he's cool with it all. And we have an 11-year-old who is, we didn't even have to say anything. He already identified as being a witch. Yep. He's identified that had we let him be the way he is, but it didn't surprise me when he came out as a witch. I was like, well, yeah, that
we don't force feed him though.
Yeah. So, anyways, which means
Joshua, I was raised Catholic as well. I went to Roman Catholic mass where everything was done in Latin. Raised lower mahana. Anything like that. We're talking 40-foot tall stained glass windows, 60-foot tall Jesus. And so I was raised in that. And for me, that's what caused me to avoid religion.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel small, insignificant, and not loved.
Yeah.
And if other people get the love from it, more power to you. It
Yeah.
didn't connect with me. I didn't find anything until I found the Wiccan path to make me feel like I belonged to a religion, a practice, a faith.
Yeah.
And so it allowed me to build my spirituality.
Yeah.
And that's how we train our kids with it.
And that's how, we have to be respectful, because we may raise the most unspiritual child. I mean, I find that hard to believe, but it could happen. You know, you think of parents who raise their kids very strict Catholic or very strict, you know, of a
Jewish,
Abrahamic
Jewish
religion,
Orthodox,
and they go the
Islamic,
and they go the opposite way to rebel. Yep. You could have also, you know, your what they would call, my parents were witches and hippie. And they might go to some, you know. So you're it doesn't matter. Your kids are gonna yes. Yeah. So anyway. If you have any questions, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you for joining us. Let's do another clink and drink to the wine.
And here's to you, if any of you are out there drinking, clink and drink with us. Well, I'll talk for Lola.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Slew.
Thank you. Skull. If you have any questions about, like I said, if you want to have a different conversation, have questions, we love talking about this stuff. We love finding out what you know. If you have any things you want to tell us about your pagan parenting, how you raise your kids, things that we've probably missed. Like I said, this was from our personal view. Mm-hmm. Or you're just curious who we are and why we do the things we do, then please. Oh, is there witch home? Oh, I know a lot, Josh. I know a lot of people, witches who do homeschooling, and I can hook you up with some resources. Email us. So at
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
And I'm sorry, what was that again?
crossroadscoven@gmail.com.
All right. So remember to always walk with the goddess, be kind to one another, and until next time, blessed be.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Clink and drink.
My glasses up. You clink and drink yourself. Bye. Yes.